When it comes to travel plans, you don't trust your itinerary with amateurs. No way. Whether it's business or pleasure, you're under the wings of an airline who understands how it's done. It's a name you know you can trust. Pig Shit Airlines has been flying high on the charts in customer acceptance for a long, long time. In fact, Pig Shit was just awarded the 2025 Golden Major Award as the most airline company in the entire airline industry. So, the next time there's an exotic place you yearn to explore, or a meeting that you just can't miss, or you have someone special you need to hold in your arms, come fly the friendly skies. You really don't have a choice. Pig Shit Airlines. Just book your fucking ticket.
Before history was history, fools were we. Then we climbed a tree and finally we could see. Lo, then the internet made us smart, now know everything do we. Thus we share with thee these trifleries till nobody learns nothing.
So the last two varieties I've seen, and I'm sure there are many, many more. But there are two formations called roll cloud and shelf cloud, and I think these are somewhat related. But look up.
Is this I think I know this one. Wall cloud? Is it wall cloud in there as well?
That would be in the neighborhood. Yes.
Oh yeah. Then yes, I know exactly.
Wait,
what
so
that is.
wall cloud and shelf cloud?
Roll cloud and shelf cloud are the two, and Kyle brought up wall cloud, which may be just another.
It sounds like the same thing, but I don't know.
It just may be another iteration
and
of.
These are actually cloud formations, not Indian chiefs from various.
They could be both. John, okay, I've got a question for you, man. What is if I can, deflect for a moment? What would your Native American name be? And I don't want to get anyone into trouble. But think of your, what your parents, because your parents or your family would name you as far as your personality. Mm-hmm. So think in those terms. What would be? How about we name each other? How about you name me? What is my name?
Oh, your name would be your spirit name would be like stupid jackal with a tiny penis.
Oh, I like that.
With that, and that's fascinating because that reminds me of roll clouds and shelf clouds, which the roll cloud I think you would like. It is at sea level. It's big. It's up in the sky, but also it goes all the way down to the ground.
Okay.
I think you almost always see them on water. Not positive.
Not the wall cloud I'm talking about. So please continue.
So but it's an enormous wall of cloud. Yeah, that is super tall in the sky and then is down touching the water, and it is moving like a tidal wave.
Oh man, that's terrifying.
Yeah.
It's full of rain.
I think so.
It might just be tall clouds usually rain. Especially if it's dark.
But it's not.
Yeah, I mean,
it's not full of lightning. It's just full of rain.
No, I don't think. We can investigate this.
I have no idea.
I don't know about lightning and roll clouds because lightning normally occurs in the cumulonimbus clouds, which are at elevation. Okay. But so these are obviously super tall. They have altitude, but the bottom of them touches the surface of the planet. Usually water.
I have talked with some lightning, and they do not mess with roll clouds. I've talked with. They said no. We don't even mess with them. It's like a
you're a roll cloud. You're a roll cloud all the way.
That's the gang you just don't even mess with. Forget it. Yeah, forget it. We're gonna do our lightning over here. Okay. We don't mess with the
bolts and the rollers. So this thing is enormous. It looks like an avalanche or a tidal
Are
wave.
we talking about a cloud
And it is
again,
just-
or what?
Yeah, the roll cloud.
Oh, okay.
And so
Wanna make sure.
I don't know measurements. I'm gonna guess like maybe it's a mile wide and it's just moving toward like the.
I think we can go back to thick and rainy again.
Yeah. So it looks terrifying. The shelf cloud is similar, but I think it doesn't move, or it moves very slowly.
Yeah.
But the roll clouds are moving with some
Okay.
like velocity to where you can see it coming towards you, and it probably looks terrifying. But it might just be like a big fog bank. Like when it hits you, it's just like, oh, it's really foggy. Like let's not drive for a little
what's
while.
the haboob?
Almost exactly. Like what? I'm sorry. What did you say?
That's the sand storm, dust storm.
Like in the Mummy.
Haboob.
Yeah. Like Brendan Fraser in The Mummy.
Yeah.
Except there was a big mummy face in it, and it was very scary.
But mine has the word boob in it.
Well, you win this time.
Just so you know, Jay, for the tie, Boob is going to win.
Thank you, John.
Sorry.
Always does.
Deciding vote
I'm sorry,
Yep.
Jay.
Thank you, John. Appreciate it.
for the tiebreaker. For a while there, I didn't know who would win that one. The mummy or the boob. Speaking of moving precipitation, it's kind of tornadoes are like that
Well,
because
so
they're born
that's
of
why-
clouds and they
that's-
move a lot.
Isn't that the ultimate moving of precipitation? Or is that,
Well,
is that not what
that's up for debate, but it's a top
That's
contender.
why I guess I brought up wall cloud is because roll cloud and what was the other one? Shelf cloud.
Yeah.
They seem similar, and so I grew up in the very southern end of Tornado Alley. Dallas gets clipped by the end of the southern end of the Black Plains, and so you get those storms that spin off tornadoes. And just within a storm, that they're always moving from west to east, maybe, and then the tornadoes actually run from the southwest corner of that storm and roll northeast. I would say east northeast, but those were the trail. Whenever you draw the line of the tornado, there's usually that little path. At any rate, the whole phenomenon of a tornado always fascinated me because we did those. We did drills at school growing up from elementary school. You're a little kid, and you have to. They repurposed the sirens from bombings.
I believe that's a klaxon alarm.
Oh, thank you.
I think it's called klaxon.
Well, klaxon terrified me every time I heard.
What was that?
Hell
What was
yeah.
that tornado alarm? That wasn't a bombing alarm? Okay. So what you're saying is
They repurposed.
You might have missed the part, John.
The alarm people are like, dude, we don't need to spend any more money on research. I think
You might have missed the part,
we
John,
just
where Kyle said the
reused-
word
we reuse the
repurpose.
thing. Repurpose. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Man,
So
well-
anywho,
I would just.
our
can I
job
just
was
say,
to get-
fuck you people. I just want to say that. Go ahead, Kyle. I'm sorry. I just want to
fair
get that in.
So what happened? What during those we were in a school with where the outside border was all windows. All the rooms had windows, so all the students went into the corridor hallways in between. It was just all old schools built in
Without
the
windows.
50s.
You went to the place without windows, right?
Yeah, right. And these are cinder block foundations and framework. So you put your head at the locker, curled yourself in a little ball with your head against the locker and your hands behind the back of your neck. And you hung out in a little ball until the alarm went off. Released.
Sure.
Could I just interject here to say, dear God?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and if you had gas and you're just kind of curled in this little ball and you're like blowing farts in your own face, it ain't pretty. Anyway, the threat may have been.
Wait, your head's on the locker.
Well,
but you're supposed to curl up tight enough that your ass is in your face.
No. Well, think of you're in a little egg. Your knees aren't together; they're apart, and you're tucking your head in between your knees.
Oh God!
Yeah,
I was already horrified. Like this is.
I know. Dude, that's
Who's the
already
superintendent in your school district. I would like to.
I can't do that.
Well,
now.
if I had your password to the internet, I might be able to tell you that, John.
But I will say this.
Anyway,
so Kyle,
go ahead, John.
Well, quick question for you. So yes, this is their. All right, tornado comes. Go get in this position against the lockers. Is that right?
Yeah.
And
in the hallway,
right,
away from the windows.
Away from the windows. Except, of course, there were probably still windows that faced them from the front or the back or who knows.
Oh, yeah. The end of the halls were big metal doors with like
right.
small, I would say, 12 by 12.
I think
auditorium not an option here?
I guess my point is like...
Didn't have one. Cafetorium at the time.
Gymnasium? Lots of windows in the gym.
Oh, big windows in the gym.
Why? That's
the whole front of the gymnasium.
Oh my God!
We like it hot inside a building. This is built in the 50s.
But the funny thing is that I don't know if these people knew any better. I don't know if I don't even know what is better. I don't know if you could go, how stupid is that?
Oh, in the yes, I do not begrudge them much of what they did. I felt like the repurposing of old bomb shelter stuff, which had no reason existing in the first place in Richardson, Texas. It wasn't going to be bombed. But using it for tornadoes, which might actually happen, which did twice while I was at that elementary school. We did it. You did it a few times a year, and then twice while I was in that elementary school, there were actually tornadoes going down.
Wow. Well,
anyway,
you never. It's like, hey, man, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But always err on the side of caution.
That's what Grandma said about pregnancy.
Right.
That's what she told me anyway.
That's why we're all here today.
So Kyle had lots more to say about tornadoes.
So tornadoes are quite the phenomenon to me, especially growing up in an area where they might happen. And it seems so weird. And it's only technology and just the amount of weathermen and whatnot out there has increased. And so the understanding of them has grown, which is fun, cool, because they are crazy, right? They're like, we didn't even really talk about hurricanes, but they're like little tiny focused hurricanes that go faster and more violent, and nothing survives if it goes through it, depending on the ranking. And they do have a ranking. So it's based on a Fujita scale, and which is a damage assessment, which is kind of weird, right?
It's not based on the speed or strength of the thing, but the damage it causes.
Right. It started with And
this is the EF 1 through 5 thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So an F. There actually is an F0, and that F0 Probably call it a dust devil or something. It's weak nut.
I'm experiencing an F-Zero right now. In my pants.
Meat. Yeah.
I feel like you probably experienced an F-Zero a lot in school growing up.
No, Catholic school, of course.
That's what you would call a sick burn.
Mm-hmm.
I was embarrassed for John on John's behalf.
All right.
That incredible burn.
He was not. He probably thought that, his mom probably told him, like, hey, yeah, F-Zero means you're king of the school. Anyway, just trees and shrubs and all that shit. And then it goes up to the top is F5, and that means buildings are being lifted off their foundations and torn apart.
So just briefly, this correlates to the hurricane cats.
Like tornadoes.
I know, but hurricanes have a cat 1 through 5. So it's a 5-point system.
Yes.
So the very strongest is a 5 and the weakest, but hurricanes don't have a 0. Hurricanes start at a cat 1.
Yeah, well, it's a tropical storm.
Tropical storm.
It's just a different thing, yeah.
Correlates to a tornado EF0.
Yeah.
Got it.
But so in a cat 2, you could have tornadoes, right? I mean...
Oh, yeah. Hurricanes.
Cat 2, Cat 3, Cat 4, Cat 5.
On tornadoes.
Yeah. The edges of the kind of inner circle. In fact, that happened to our house. We got our garage had a tree dropped on it. And when the arborist came out, he said, oh, yeah, this wasn't the hurricane force winds. This was a tornado because the tree had been pulled out of its roots rather than just snapped in half. Like a hurricane would be just purely crosswinds. Tornadoes have upwinds.
Did you guess the arborist's name? Was it McGillicuddy by any chance?
Let me check the receipt of him pulling that tree out of my garage, and I bet you're right. That son of a bitch, he's everywhere. So, anywho, tornadoes in one Native American tribe called the Finger of God was the translation, which was kind of cool because it's so specific. It's like, I smite thee.
Where were they? I mean, where did you find the Finger of God people?
In Africa's Tornado Alley. They're somewhere in there.
Africa has a tornado alley.
You bet it does.
It was not.
It's more like a tornado boulevard.
It's just not. It's not just us. I mean, we don't share that moniker alone. Like
there are tornadoes elsewhere in the world.
Are they called tornadoes everywhere across the globe, Kyle Jones?
I believe in some places they're called tornadoes.
Some places are called holy shit.
So the cause of it is the cold air, the very frigid, super cold air dumps over the mountains of the Rocky Mountains, and it meets all the Gulf air coming up from all the way from Florida to South Padre. So you're meeting very hot, moist air meeting very dry, cold air. Mm-hmm. And so in those most intense moments, when very hot air is moving straight up through the very cold air, that's when tornadoes happen. And it usually happens at that southwest corner of that collision, because that's where if everything's moving to the east, cold wise, and everything's moving west and north from the warm side, they they spin. It spins at the bottom corner. Anyway.
So there are a couple pockets, like between the Gulf and the Rockies, where you'll get some tornadoes, like little bits down in the kind of southeast of the U.S., but mainly it's this alley, right? Mm-hmm. Like closer to the Rockies, north to south. Got it.
And that's a bigger air mass coming from the west, and so there's more of it. And so the hot air is trapped underneath the dry, colder air. And so in those violent collisions on the edges, it zips up pretty fast and it creates a funnel and sucks everything up around it.
So are there certain seasons that it occurs more due to the warm air and the cold air? Like,
Yes, it sort of follows hurricane season, where the ocean heats up, and so that warm air coming from the Gulf is more intense, and you're looking more into the time frame when if it's going to be a faster switch.
so it's more about the warm air in the Gulf than it is about the cold air in the Rockies.
I think that just changes the location of the tornadoes.
Got it.
So the colder air coming from the top, its intensity versus the intensity of the warm, moist air being trapped underneath it, that's where the tornadoes are going to happen. And so you get that tornado alley because it's like a saw, a little somewhere along there something's got to give, and that's like lightning. That's where the lightning's happening, and it's just a violent exchange of air.
So what else contributes to ideal conditions for a tornado in terms of what's on the ground? Like, do they form over dense metropolitan areas with lots of buildings, or out on the plains only?
Yes, the flat. That's why Kansas, gets them all. The flat is perfect.
They love flat.
So that's like whenever downtown Fort Worth got just trashed by a tornado. That was very rare. That had never happened where a city had a tornado. First off, they're small. They're so small, technically, that hitting a city is minuscule. Just the odds of where Tornado Alley is. There's not very many cities in there, but the northeast Texas is very flat, and the timing and everything, it was just everything worked out to where a true tornado could rip through a city, which would be rare. Yeah, it wouldn't form on it; it would form before it.
And you don't see them in elevation much, like in mountains.
Oh yeah, mountains break it all.
It requires cold air and warm air.
It's an organized storm. It's very organized.
And in the mountains, you're getting mostly cold air.
Yeah,
So
the elevation, right? And
the mixture of the air temperatures is important too.
And the flow of the air, it would be impeded by all the trees and the rocks and the stuff. So that's why people, they get underground. It's going to wipe everything clean, which the damage of a tornado can be super weird sometimes, right? Because it's so specific and it happens all at once. A few of the weirder ones. There was where was this? In Pampa. A tornado went through. It ripped through a cornfield, sucked all the corn up into the sky. It got so high that it created hail, and then dumped all these corn stalks of hail, corn cobs of hail back down, and just
decimated everything.
Yeah.
So like corn cobs surrounded by an inch of ice, basically?
Ice-covered corn cobs.
Wow.
Falling from the sky. There was where was this? In Michigan. So that's a pretty crazy place. In 1943, this farmer, sorry, I don't mean to laugh. You'll laugh afterwards. This farmer...
Maybe.
He was a chicken guy, and tornado came through, and he had 30 chickens, and he ended the tornado with 30 chickens. but all their feathers were gone. So there was all these 30 naked chickens. They all survived, but they were all their feathers had been blown off.
I'm not ready to laugh, but it sounds adorable. Like hairless cats, the Sphinx cats. Yeah. Sphinx chickens.
And I'm sure you've seen some photos of like there's an album, like an LP, stuck in a fence post, and blades of grass stuck inside the barns, and think of a chain link fence. There was one where a chain link fence, all the chain link was gone, but then all the little aluminum posts along the way that hold it up, they were all just bent kind of gracefully to one side, all the way to the ground. But, imagine how just wind non-significant a little aluminum fence post is. But it bent it all the way down. Of course, there's cars that have traveled miles and wound up in other places. One of the weirdest was a Ford Explorer. This was in Mississippi, and it was an F5. The truck traveled half a mile in this tornado, knocked down a water tower all by its lonesome, and then landed another half a mile down the way.
In a rival's auto dealership. Embarrassing.
Eat it, Chevy. Anywho.
On top of the gorilla. That'll show him.
Oh, let me give you one little thing. The widest ever created, or ever recorded, the widest tornado ever recorded was 2.6 miles wide.
A diameter.
Yes.
The circle that touched the ground.
Yes.
When and where? Like, it sounds unbelievable.
El Reno. And that's all I got. That's all.
El Reno.
I typed in next to it.
Well, then I guess I'm going to have to believe it.
Yeah. Well, or Mr. McGillicuddy.
All right, time for a break. I'm going to see how much pizza I can cram in my face in 2 minutes. BRB.
The folks at Abstraction Spirits are more than simply connoisseurs of fine bourbon. They consider the delicate distillation process and the blending of beautiful flavors to be an art form. In fact, so much so that each Abstraction Spirit is inspired by the classic works of some of the world's foremost artists. Sip the unfiltered raw honey and mint notes of their 6-year small batch bourbon, Time Sipping Away. It's distinguished, long-lasting, and perfect for a quiet evening on a beachfront balcony. Or, if rye is your preference, try This Old Cowboy Bourbon. This 9-year rye bourbon sits at 100 proof and offers a rugged, flavorful pop to brighten up any gathering. Abstraction also highlights rye whiskey with Memory of Fire, an 8-year single-barrel endeavor. And the latest from Abstraction Spirits is Bat Country, a 9-year toasted stave light whiskey. So no matter if you're hosting an intimate get-together with your closest friends or a casual patio event with the neighbors, or if you just need a quiet night by the fire, Abstraction Spirits has the flavor and finish you need to make your evening a masterpiece. Abstraction Spirits is available in 35 states nationwide. Visit abstractionspirits.com for more. Abstraction Spirits, art in liquid form.
All right, we are back. Let's see if John's still awake, and maybe we'll talk about things.
So Pecos Hank once said, describing what a tornado is when he first experienced one.
Before you continue,
yes,
who's Pecos Hank?
Oh, come
I
on.
know Pecos Bill.
Come on, Jay.
Pecos Bill? Pecos Hank.
Pecos Hank.
Yeah. That's the person I need you to, tell me who it is.
He's who Pecos Bill always wanted to be.
Oh, well, that's fine. Thank you. Please continue.
Yeah, thanks. A beautiful. Here's how he described when he came across a tornado. A beautiful angel of death, twirling with all the mystery of a ballerina's ghost.
That's who Pecos Bill wanted to be?
Are you adding
hang on.
editorialism? You're editorializing here.
Hang on, shh.
Read it as is. We'll determine. Let the people have a say, Kyle.
Anyway, Pecos Hank was a little melodramatic. I'll give you that.
Uh-huh. Couldn't you have stuck with Finger of God? Like,
I feel like that was a priest being bad.
keep it simple. Ballerina. Get out of here.
Ballerina's ghost.
Wow. What a badass cowboy he must have been. Inspiring all the Pecos cowboys afterward. Wow, wow, wow. Wow, wow, wow.
While west of the Pecos.
Yeah.
Law west of the Pecos. You know who that was.
Judge Roy Bean.
Absolutely.
Judge Roy Bean.
So back in the Pecos Bill era, like all of them were going to see ballets all the time.
Big time.
Like ballet was there. Like forget the saloons. They went to the ballet so they could know what tornadoes looked like. That's where that quote came from. Yes, sir.
So
Yes,
I'm
indeedy.
curious. Let me say this again. A beautiful angel of death, twirling with all the mystery of a ballerina's ghost. So this is all of the mystery of the ballerina's ghost. So let's, what's partial? What are some of the things we do know about a ballerina's ghost?
Yeah. It seems like there's more mystery to it. How did the ballerina die? Who does the ballerina want to haunt? What is the ballerina's motivation right now? Why are they still a ghost? What unfinished business do they have? It seems like a lot of mystery. Hank.
I don't know. You get buried in a tutu.
So this inspires another related topic, which has been fascinating me for years, by the way. And it's about areas of the country that experience weather phenomenon or natural disasters. I'm curious about where one could go that wouldn't have any extreme weather.
Right, because it's like everywhere. So, okay, we live in the Gulf. There's hurricanes. The whole Central America is tornadoes. You got earthquakes and crap on the whole West Coast is going to get that.
Absolutely.
West
Coast is fires.
Blizzards and just freezing to death. And
Fires.
All right, wildfires.
You got your wildfires. So hurricanes are all up and down the Gulf and East Coast.
El
You can get
Nunez.
them.
Or El Nunez,
Say again?
whatever it's called.
I mean, yeah, for sure, hurricanes form
Sorry, go ahead.
form of the Atlantic close to Africa. Usually, they normally hit.
Caribbean. They usually flow into the Caribbean.
Yeah, sometimes the North of South America, Central America.
Yep.
Usually the U.S. Sometimes they go all the way up to the United Kingdom. Like
They curl because they curl up. They'll hit the Gulf and then spin up north and maybe roll through the northeast and then even head east. And if they're strong enough, they'll hit.
Sometimes the first landfall is like in Canada. It'll be crazy. Like you never do know.
Yeah.
But that's hurricanes for you. For the U.S., it's either Gulf Coast or East Coast. Then you've got earthquakes on the West Coast. You've got flooding in various pockets. But mostly, like, that's localized.
Where can you live? Where can you go?
It's a great question.
Drought?
Well, it's very clear where you go. I think
Go ahead.
You go to a particular top on it's in Central Texas, actually.
Where's that?
Tybee Island. You go to Tybee Island on the top of Central Texas in Kerrville.
Kerrville.
Yeah.
I didn't see that coming.
Nor would you.
So there are some maps out there with recorded natural disasters in the U.S. that account for Tornado Alley, hurricanes along the coast, flooding pockets, earthquakes,
Flooding.
wildfires, mudslides.
Gross.
I know. Blizzards. And it looks like there are just a couple spots.
You lay everything on top of each other. Yeah, where's the where can one live, Jay Hickman, in this country and not be encumbered by nature?
Now, if we discount heat waves, the best place to live in America to avoid a natural disaster is, do you have a guess, John Swayze? Other than Kerrville. Kerrville's real strong.
Yeah. I'm sure you're gonna sell that place.
No, I don't.
Sure, somebody wants it.
The safest place to live in America, discounting heat waves,
Discounting. Okay.
in terms of a natural disaster,
Okay.
is Texarkana.
Fantastic. I know right where that is.
I know. So Texarkana
Yes.
is very close to the junction of Texas, Arkansas,
Yes.
Oklahoma, and Louisiana. Like it's not a perfect four corners like you get in Colorado,
but
New
it's all
Mexico,
pretty
Arizona,
close.
and
Probably within a good miles of it.
Exactly.
They would never get a tornado. Is that what you're saying?
They won't
I'm
get
not. John Swayze.
Yeah.
Do we have to have the talk right now in the middle of the podcast?
Are we going to go full, anything can happen? The old what if ourselves to death, John?
I'm just saying.
All he's doing is saying, Kyle. He's just saying.
That's the safest place to be.
Well,
According to the research.
and Al Roker, yes. If you consider all the possible natural disasters, including blizzards and heat waves and hurricanes, tornadoes, earthquakes, mudslides, Texarkana gets the least of all of those things.
Or giant turtle attacks.
Well, that's different. If we're bringing in giant turtle attacks, all bets are off.
Oh, all right.
John is speechless, as I expected he would be.
I am.
Right. What do you say to that? What do you even say to that?
There
I
is
don't know.
nothing
That's
to say to that. That's you have
Perfectly encapsulated your thoughts on the subject.
you have opened up the sarcophagus and poured concrete into it. Yes.
Yeah, that's what I normally do.
I don't even know what that means.
It's not important right now. So
I've seen True Blood.
I'm saying Jay is completely right. Whatever it may be, Jay is
that's
right.
what I thought you meant. So Final note on this, by the way. As we speak of the natural disaster map of the United States of America, and particularly
Been there.
relevant to us in the Gulf Coast area,
Right.
our biggest threat is hurricanes.
Yeah.
And flooding, certainly flooding.
Flooding.
Sometimes they go hand in hand. But on the topic of hurricanes, we well know, living where we do on the Gulf Coast of America, that there's a hurricane season.
Yeah.
Would you go ahead and recite for us, Kyle, when hurricane season is?
I'm sure there's a month range they give us.
Yeah.
And I would, I don't know it from beginning to end.
I think that's what Jay was.
I guess.
Jay was
John
hoping
Swayze
for.
knows.
Wait.
John Swayze's
It goes
got a-
longer than you think.
It's
I know
like
that.
June to November.
Yes.
That was going to be my guess. I had no confidence. I'm
Spot
sorry.
on. That is the official hurricane season.
November, right? People don't even think of that because the ocean stays warmer longer than the land.
Because of water's heat capacity, like water will stay colder longer than the air or the earth will, and warmer longer than the air or the earth will.
So late.
So
it's a rhythm. It's a rhythm, everyone.
so
if we warm the waters, will that stop hurricanes?
Wait, what rhythm are you looking for? You looking for some reggaeton?
I'm looking for the island rhythm.
Calypso, or what are we doing?
Yeah.
So
come on, man.
If we just drop more ice in the oceans, will that bring world peace? So
Yes.
hurricane.
Bingo. Oh my God,
The
Jay.
reason I bring this
Jay, why is this
Yes?
so hard?
Oh,
You
Wait,
get
what?
it. You totally get it.
Yeah.
You drop ice
Fine.
in the water. Wouldn't that
Yes.
make world peace?
Yeah.
Of course it would.
you ever see the movie Ice Pirates?
No.
Oh, wow.
You don't know. That's so great. So
you know, fish swim around. This is a known fact. Fish swim around, and they work up a dadgum deal. It's like
They
us,
sure do.
It's like us jogging a mile.
yeah.
And when you dump ice in the water, they're like, "Woo! Thank you
Uh-huh.
for that.
How do
I
how
am
do
cooler now. I'm going to swim another lap. They'll do that.
So now they're wearing sunglasses and leather jackets?
No. Now they're going to the UN Security Council and asking for world peace.
Perfect. This is going to work, guys.
Yeah.
They're getting it.
So the reason I bring all this up about hurricane season, June through November,
Yeah.
it's a big, fat lie.
Oh,
There truly is no hurricane season.
no.
Really?
Yeah, named storms have formed in all months of the year. Not frequently.
Mm-hmm.
The most frequent ones occur from June to November.
But that's why they single it out, man.
But you can have hurricanes any month of the year.
And Jay,
Yes.
that's
Go ahead.
that's what we should be scared of.
Exactly.
That hurricane that comes in 3 months before the season.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
I feel it, dude. I hear you.
exactly.
God, you're on it. You're on it.
It wasn't that long ago that we had a hurricane, rather a tropical storm, a named tropical storm in April.
Yeah.
In just 2017,
Oh, what was his name? It was an A.
Arlene.
Arlene.
You're damn right it was Arlene.
Sounds nice. Spring break, Arlene.
Arlene's coming early. Growl. So there was one There's one every month.
And Arlene every month?
No. There's been a hurricane in every month of the year at some year.
So there's been a January freaking hurricane?
Yes,
Wow.
there has. There is a month that it's the most rare for a tropical storm or a cyclonic storm to form.
I would say January.
Would you like to
or
guess?
February.
Okay, John, do you have a guess?
February.
Okay. Kyle Jones guessed January, February. Apparently, it's March.
Oh,
Damn it! That was my
right
second
in the middle
guess.
of spring. But
That was my second guess. I almost had it.
That makes sense with the delay, kind of
Right.
where
It's like
water,
smack dab in the middle of the quote off season.
Good job,
Yeah.
Kyle. Good job.
So great. By the way, great job, Kyle. I do want to echo what John said. You're doing amazing, buddy. Like you're crushing it.
Man, where are you, John? You need to step up.
Dude, I'm right here, brother. I've been,
Just
been here the
supporting
whole
you,
time.
Kyle. Supporting you. Like, what else do you need him to do? So December, the last one was in 2007. Tropical storm Olga formed in December.
She was a
I was
bitch.
oh, that's late. You know, Olga. Man. Wow.
She was a bitch.
It was a light season. We've only gotten to
But
the
Olga, what a fucking name. Don't you put a person in your mind, give the name, like Ivan kicked our ass, and that makes sense.
yeah.
Or Ike, excuse me. Ike kicked Houston's ass.
Yes.
And it's okay to be kicked. It's okay to get your ass kicked by Ike.
Yeah.
But you don't want your ass kicked by, like, Winnie.
But Olga?
Right? No, Olga's kicking ass.
Winnie.
kicker. Like,
Yeah.
Winnie was
Winnie-
never an option.
Depending, right?
Where are you getting
sorry.
Winnie?
I'm just bringing. What? You don't remember Hurricane Winnie?
That reminds me.
Well, dude, that was
the
like
last
80 years ago. I mean, dude, you're
I
like,
don't remember one either. I just made up that name.
like he's talking about like Hurricane Fiona. Like you'd be embarrassed.
right.
You'd be embarrassed to
Or
have to
John Swayze.
Hurricane John Swayze, like calling the insurance adjuster and being like,
Ugh.
Hurricane John Swayze decimated my house. Like they'd be like, really?
Really, no.
John Swayze did that?
He more like kind of disheveled in my house.
Yeah, like call me back when Olga comes, would you? So in January of 2016, we had Hurricane Alex.
yeah.
He's the worst.
So that's pretty recent. Like that's 7 years ago. We had a January hurricane.
That was Alex. And where did that land?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I used to, but then I forgot.
But those hurricanes, if you remember them, if they show up on the radar, then that's bad news. That means it's if you get a big A, I'm just saying, Alicia.
Right. So sometimes these things will escalate to hurricane status, like a Cat 1, still in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, affecting no major land masses. So they'll be named because they've reached a certain wind speed.
Right.
And then they dissipate and you never hear about them.
I want to say it's 70 miles an hour.
75.
75.
Is Cat 1.
Okay.
75 is Cat 1.
Have you ever had? I know there was a Hurricane Kyle. He was one of the longest. I say he. It's a wind and moisture mass, but Kyle was one of the longest lasting. But it was like out in the middle of the ocean and didn't hurt nobody. You know. So
Are you drawing a parallel?
Yeah. No, I'm not.
Kyle is super long lasting and doesn't hurt nobody.
Yeah, he didn't hurt nobody. Hurricane Kyle was pretty cool.
But he's got stamina. Kyle
Right.
has.
You know, he
like
just
he just
hangs-
go
just hangs
all night long. It doesn't hurt anybody.
Yeah. Everybody likes Kyle.
Those words to live by. Words to live by.
So Hurricane, do you guys remember hurricanes named the same as you?
I don't believe there has been a Hurricane J yet.
What about Jason?
Surely there's been a Hurricane J. You
Quite possible.
You must have fucked somebody's world.
Hey, take it easy. Take it easy. There has been a Hurricane John, but it was a Pacific hurricane. So sorry.
No Hurricane J, though.
I don't think so. So they, you may know, if the hurricane is serious enough, they will retire the name. And so normally they will, the recorded name, like historically.
What are some retired names? Wow.
Well, Ike's retired. They're not going to have an Ike again.
Heck no.
They're not going to have a Harvey again. They got to retire. They go for a different age.
That was embarrassing. Harvey, really?
I mean, it was a hurricane when it first hit down in Aransas or wherever.
Harvey Weinstein.
Oh,
Dude,
no.
You know, Harvey flooded my house.
Come on.
Like,
Harvey.
Harvey flooded my house.
Like the rabbit, like the giant invisible rabbit. He's harmless. He's just he's a good friend. Hurricane Harvey. Come on,
You got to do that as Harvey Weinstein. Let me hear.
Come on, sweetheart. All I want you to do is take your top off and pose for a few photographs. Come on. Look, I've got a big movie role for you. That's all. Just come up to my hotel room and show me your monologue. That's all.
You want to play, don't you?
Never.
Play.
It's my invisible friend, Harvey Weinstein. He's a film producer. And all he wants you to do is perform your monologue in your bikini. That's it.
Thank you, Jay.
The role's yours. I guarantee it. All you have to do.
Hey, sorry, I needed that.
Why is this happening? We were having a nice discussion about hurricanes. That's all.
That's good. John, your turn.
Yeah.
All right, look, I'm gonna lightning round. We've reached that point.
Yes.
It's lightning round time. The last time there was a February hurricane was in 1952.
Boo!
They didn't even name the storms then.
Loser.
It was a tropical storm in 1952 of February. Last time they had a March hurricane. Wild guess.
I was about
Kyle
to say
Jones?
1908.
Hurricane Reginald.
The year, some genius.
1913.
Hey, also, hey, everybody.
Oh, that's so close.
Just,
The last time there was a March hurricane was 1908.
Week.
A long time ago.
I love the fact when I say nobody talks, everybody talks.
I know, right?
My
John Swayze wins
my
the dollar.
GameStop.
Kyle, you owe John Swayze $1.
Okay.
Because he was almost about to guess 1908, which was the actual
I
answer.
guess you can unplug it
Nonetheless,
from
keep going.
my
We're all good.
G-string.
The last April hurricane was quite recent.
Yeah.
You might be surprised to know April hurricanes are more common than May hurricanes.
Yes.
The last April storm was in 2017. Tropical storm Arlene. In May,
Arlene. She seems angry. She's like, what is that? A Georgia hurricane? Maybe a little Florida?
You bet, buddy. In May, you have to go back to 1970. It was Hurricane Alma.
Alma. How is it with ALMA?
That's correct.
Oh,
Also in Georgia.
That's their fault.
And so that's all the off-season hurricanes and tropical storms. So anyway, you can get one any month of the year. The whole system is a lie, and that's where we are.
J.
Which reminds me, hey, fellas, Have any of you ever heard of an Alberta clipper?
Alberta clipper.
John Swayze?
Nope.
Is that a bird?
Not
It's not.
here.
It's not. It's
a boat?
It's not.
No.
It's a storm.
Alberta clipper.
But your boat guess was super smart, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
It's a winter storm that originates in Alberta, Canada, and it moves
very specific.
It moves super fast, and so it was named for the Clipper, which
remind everyone where Alberta is.
Alberta is in the northeast part of Canada.
Okay.
That's
Right?
That's pretty.
I mean,
It's pretty close. It is one province to the east of the West Coast. So you got British Columbia on the far west, and then Alberta is next.
Okay.
So Alberta is basically over Montana and Idaho, like directly north of Montana and Idaho.
Roger.
So the Canadians have Rocky Mountains. Mm-hmm. They're not the same mountain range as ours, but they're called the Rocky Mountains. Mm-hmm. And so the mountains, as you well know, Kyle Jones, will create the atmospheric conditions needed for storms.
Yeah.
In the winter, the Canadian Rockies will create these massive winter storms. Mm-hmm. And they form in Canada and start moving south.
Yeah.
And they start moving fast.
Yeah.
Like a clipper ship. That's why it's called an Alberta
So what's
clipper.
a clipper ship then? Is that a thing that already existed?
Yeah. They're named Alberta Clippers because they move fast, and they're like, what's a thing we know of that moves fast?
That move fast and south, and I like to eat moose.
Like an Alberta Trans Am. So they called it an Alberta Clipper.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. That's cool.
So they are very fast moving storms. They have little precipitation. They don't drop a lot of snow, but they have fast winds.
Oh.
And if they're moving through an area that has already had snowfall, they'll whip up the snow there and create a kind of ground blizzard sort of situation. Mm-hmm. And so to kind of wrap up our topic about extreme weather, I saw a tweet recently from someone who had spent time in the Midwest and then moved to Texas and been like, so gotta say, as a resident both of the Midwest and of Texas, for the Texans who are like, or Southerners who are like, man, our weather is extreme weather. Like the heat and humidity, like Northerners wouldn't last a month here. Mm-hmm. And the tweeter was like, says someone who's never experienced an Alberta clipper. So, this is up in...
It sounds like an Alberta clipper is fast, though.
It's fast.
Experiencing 2 months of Houston summer.
You just get lots of... In the winter, in the Midwest, you get lots of these things blowing through. Yeah. And they're just... It's devastating winter weather. Whoa. But like up in... Like even as far east as Iowa, you will get Alberta clippers. And so in the summers, they will get 100+ degree heat. And then the winters, they experience stuff that we'd never see on the Gulf Coast.
And that is something that people don't necessarily understand, that there is 100-degree weather in the north.
That's crazy that people try to make a life up there.
People say the same thing about the South.
No, they don't.
Well, but dude, I think
people keep moving to Florida. What the hell are they doing?
When you talk about the North though, and the snow and the blizzards and the freezing and all that.
Yeah,
I don't think people go, man, it sucks here, but God, we don't have it as bad as they do in Texas. I think it's the cold is harder to overcome to me than the heat.
See, I would. I live in Texas, and I would rather. I think I would.
do too.
You can always add another layer. You can't take off all your clothes and then have another. It's still hot.
Yeah, but also in the hottest days of Houston, Texas, you can drive your car anywhere you want to. In the coldest days of Wyoming, maybe not so much.
I see what you're saying.
You can be trapped in your home
I want to go
And I will say,
for a week or more.
in the last decade, the car air conditioning, they've been able to figure something out about Texas or just the South.
Right.
I shouldn't say Texas.
But there is no automobile heating system that will melt the snow on the road 2 miles ahead of you to allow you to get to the grocery store.
Yeah, but you can
Like you're shut in.
yes. I see.
That's all I had. That's all I wanted to say on that topic. And so
That's good stuff, by the way.
And so I'm going to hand the last comment to our favorite Alberta Clipper, John Swayze.
Well, there isn't a whole lot more to say, except this has been a fascinating insight into weather, lightning, drinking.
I have to admit, John Swayze, I wondered whether you'd like this topic.
Ow! Zing! Baka baka bow!
Like the finger of God.
Up your.
I'm not really sure where I should go with this.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends of all ages, thank you for being with us for tonight's episode on weather phenomena with me, Jay Hickman, and Kyle Jones and
Kyle
John
Jones.
Swayze.
Yeah.
Wow. We covered a lot of ground. And there's more to come. Just wait till next week.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Thanks, everybody.
Well, we did it. We finally hit bottom. I knew we could. Thanks, everybody. If you'd like to learn more about this finely distilled product, visit bottomofthebarrelpodcast.com, where you can find our previous episodes, merch, and even some Patreon options. If you want to tell us how smart we are, or how stupid we are, or if you have a topic you want us to dive into, hit us up on our socials. Bottom of the Barrel Podcast is on Instagram, X, and YouTube. Research, writing, and hosting duties for Bottom of the Barrel are taken up by John Swayze, Kyle Jones, and Jay Hickman. Our producer and sound engineer is Dave Lasco. Our business and digital manager is Olivia Swayze, and our composer-arranger is Jonathan Benjamin. We also offer our sincere appreciation to our collaborators, without whom we'd merely be floating somewhere around the middle of the barrel. Big thanks to Afshar Karat, Keegan Dalio, and Patrick Marrero. Finally, we'd once again like to thank our sponsor, Abstraction Spirits, art in liquid form, which you can find at abstractionspirits.com. We'll see you next time.